good afternoon, Sarah Hepla.
Good morning, Nancy Rommelman. I woke up at 2:30 a.m. ready to rock.
Ready to rock. Well, I have just stepped out of a 1970s poster for everyone here. Oh, actually, no, I didn't. I changed that so I look normal because you told me I looked weird. And here
One
we
thing
are.
we haven't really talked about is that we've been doing a soft launch on YouTube.
Indeed.
It's so soft. It's whisper soft.
That's what she said. Yeah, it's whisper soft, and we are getting out the bugs, trying to not look weird and irradiated. One person here learned how to do some Photoshop yesterday, and so far it's good. I think we have someone here who's also going to be doing something on YouTube, and we're just sort of all like the blind leading the blind.
Well, I have an introduction.
Let's do it.
Ethan Strauss is the host of the House of Strauss podcast. According to his Substack, he's a former NBA PR gopher, former basket blogger, former NBA beat writer, currently against the Currents. He failed to mention he was once edited by me at Salon, where we met, and he is universally beloved by people who don't hate him. He also has the distinction of being the only culture critic sports writer I follow. Recently, he wrote about a sneaker rivalry in the WNBA and Bill Belichick's very young girlfriend, which Nancy and I have been meaning to discuss. So here we are. Ethan Strauss, welcome to Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em.
That is a fantastic intro, and I love the Texas-y way that Sarah says WNBA. That is charming right there. That's fantastic.
What did I do? What do I go?
The WNBA.
That's cute. I don't know. I don't even notice my Texasisms. Well, they're invisible to me.
I just did a podcast with...
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I'm stepping on you already. I'm sorry about that. No, I did a podcast with Mike Pesca, and I was trying to tell him that all the major broadcasters, the announcers, 90% of them have New York accents or out of New York. And he's saying, but they don't really. I mean, who is just like you, Mike, they have the same thing. You don't notice. Notice you're the fish in water.
I wanted to recommend that podcast. It's delightful. You and Mike Pesca, that's two great tastes that taste great together.
I was listening to the Knicks on the radio the other day, which is, listening to basketball on the radio is fantastic, by the way. I don't know if it's just because I grew up that way, but I'm listening to this one guy. I'm like, is that Marv Albert? It's like, of course it can't be Marv Albert, but they all kind of sound like Marv Albert. Like that's the standard.
Yeah, Marv Albert's so old that he's one of the guys who changed his Jewish name to a more Anglo, easier name back in the day, that old Hollywood. Real name of Marv Albert is Aufrichtig. That's his real last name right there. So useless trivia for you. But yeah, he's got that New York, it's that growly. I'm so interested in this. I love accents. And I'm interested in whether we have all these New York accented broadcasters because New York was the capital of media, or if that's a real voice that we like. Is that something that we want? We want the deepness, we want the gravel, we want that sort of brusqueness from our announcer in a way we wouldn't want. I mean, people growing up where I grew up, I can't imagine them announcing a game the way my friends talk growing up. And he shoots, and it's good. What a shot.
Well, it's true. You think about it. Think about how fast basketball is. Who talks fast?
Yeah.
New Yorkers talk fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to do that. And then there's just incredible color commentary. I mean, we could probably ream off 30 names for the basket, right? Or for the backboard. And maybe, I don't know, maybe New Yorkers get that like a little quicker, a little more of like that play. I don't know.
Yeah. And it helps to be a narcissist, and that city incubates narcissism, I think. And
oh my God, it really does. Good. And I've been meaning, this is actually an intervention. Ethan, we're going to actually talk to Nancy right now.
God, I'm sorry. I had my takes on accents. I want to do 30 minutes. It's okay. Fine. Nancy.
No. It's okay. She knows she's a narcissist. It's fine. There's no intervention needed. Nancy made a goofy face. Nancy, you're not a narcissist, but what you are is a vain woman.
Yeah. What's the distinction?
But I am too, so it's totally fine.
Well, how does Maine manifest?
Oh, a lot of selfies.
I would like you to know, I went on Instagram because I was posting something the other day. It had been I hadn't posted a picture of myself in about 30 Instagrams. So I'm just going to push back a little bit on the selfie.
You may be changing your ways.
I am. I'm just like,
I'm ramping up.
Yeah,
it's
you
been
are.
About 30 posts since I've not done a selfie.
I saw your hat shot today. So
yeah.
This is sort of a morbid stat, but I remember reading that for selfie picture fatalities, men were way ahead of women. And I like that as a natural experiment of female vanity versus male idiotic
right, because they're doing all this stupid stuff.
Dismissal.
Right.
And in the end, the male just disregard for risk and common sense in that particular niche that wins out over the female propensity to do the selfie. That a man is way more likely to do a stupid selfie that kills them than a woman is, despite women having more selfies. So there you go.
I will tell you that I was very, chastened when I learned how many people were dying taking selfies, because during all my travels, it's always like, oh, let's step up to this cliff and I'll get the cliffside behind me. Like I can just see myself falling off that. And then you're just dead at the hands of vanity.
Oh, what a terrible way to go.
No, it's really so sad.
I haven't seen somebody die doing it, but I've definitely been at Yosemite and the Grand Canyon. I've seen people living on that edge, that literal edge, while doing it. And that's just not, I don't have an appetite for that kind of thing. I can't go there. That scares me. But some people, it's very important. I think we can forget sometimes how important selfies are to other people. Other people, that's a huge deal to them. We're so famous, all of us, with our public profiles. We don't need it, but for other people, that's their 15 minutes.
I've seen.
I need it. I need it.
I
love selfies.
The Instagram boyfriend, I saw one not long ago. This girl, she was just having her boyfriend follow her around and take pictures of her. We were like in Florida at this fancy hotel, and like she just kept going up to different chaises and sticking her butt out and doing this, and that was his job. Just to take
there's a
pictures
lot of them.
Yeah. That sounds great.
There should be somebody who follows him around then, and it just becomes a human centipede of different selfies. I was fascinated. I did that story on the Cavenders, the twins attractive pair of twins who had the most NIL money and got mad at me for the story I did for the Free Press, but that's neither here nor there. But I was just blown away by how involved their selfie and social media curation process was, just how much thought went into it. And I would watch them have these discussions with each other and their assistant over, should we do that angle? And it was like watching Kubrick. No, another take. That kind of mentality combined with a sense of how things go viral, that we need to use this song instead of that song because this song is what's hot on TikTok and this is the wave to ride. And you realize that you're looking at people who might not even know who the president is, but they're given so much thought to something that you have no insight into. And this might be a dumb display, but a lot of smartness goes into it to rise to the top of
that's kind of like saying sports would be a dumb display, like it's not intellectual, but it takes a skill and strategy that is profound. And I love that you brought up Kubrick. It's, these girls are it's the eyes wide shut of TikTok.
Well, and Kubrick, I think, was very much resented by the authors of the books he made movies of because he didn't relate to the material in that deep way, in that word cell way. He just looked at it as grist for the mill or fodder for him to do his cool visual magic that he did. He wasn't actually that interested in what The Shining was about. That just wasn't something that appealed to him.
I'm trying to remember the documentary about the making of The Shining where the story is relayed that Jack Nicholson is asking him what he should do, and he's like, whatever's more interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of good words to live by.
For a filmmaker.
Yeah. Well,
you have two choices. Right? Which one is more interesting?
I just love, that's such a funny thing with Kubrick, how he made these movies that became iconic that the authors hated because he did not care what the books were about at all. But the movies then became more famous and became the cultural memory of what the books were about, driving these authors crazy. I just find that to be painfully funny, that Clockwork Orange is an anti-violence
Yeah,
book, and Kubrick went, "Ooh, this stylized violence is cool.
exactly.
This is fun. I
Exactly.
like this. Wearing the top hats. This is nice."
Well, Ethan, I think you know about me that I'm one of the up and coming sports experts of North Texas. You
Yes,
know that, yeah?
the foremost sports expert in Texas. Uh,
Foremost.
foremost, yes, foremost. I
Foremost
know this.
50-year-old female podcasting sports expert in Texas.
This is
Which
like
is
in
what they always say this about me.
It's like in Home Improvement where he had the third best tool show in the state of
Yeah,
Michigan, kind of.
exactly.
I love wherever this is going. Wherever this is going, I love
Okay.
where it's going to be.
Well, it was my segue to talking about sports with you. And I, grew up hating sports, but I'm an older, wiser woman now. I'm trying to
Mhm.
understand them. A lot of your writing helps me get the sort of zoom out cultural impact. I get it. That's one of the reasons I love what you do, is because you're not just writing about what happened, it's why it matters, what it means about us. And so this issue of Caitlin Clark, Kate, is that her name?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you
Okay,
got it
good.
right.
All of a sudden, I was like, was that Bruce
Whoops.
Jenner's name after he?
No, it's interesting. People misspell her name all the time. There's something the public, many of them want to put a Y instead of
Yeah.
the I at the end of it, and I see it all the time, and I don't know why there's that impulse, but that's just a tick, I guess, out there. But yes,
Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark.
It's just one of those names that could be spelled four different ways.
It's true.
Um, so Caitlin Clark has been a phenomenon. I've been watching it sort of out of the corner of my eye. You wrote a really interesting piece that was in response to a front page story in the New York Times about the WNBA. But
W.
before W, but before we get to that, something that I've been wondering, and I wonder if you have any insight on this. It may not have statistics. The fan base for the WNBA, the people watching this, is this skewing female or is it becoming more male? Because when it started, I thought the WNBA was for women, but I'm hearing more and
Mm.
more men talk about it. Do you have any sense of what their fan base is?
Yeah, great question, and a little similar to the whole selfie death conversation we just had, because it's, will the foregrounding of women appeal more to women than sports appeals to men? What's the actual demographic breakdown going to be? And more men than women watch the WNBA. It's
Mm-hmm.
sports, and there's more sports avidity among men. There's one of these obvious things that I can write about on my Substack that is, ooh, scary. You don't say that. You don't say that on ESPN, that men tend to like sports on average a lot more than women do. And then
Right.
part of what's interesting to me about this modern aspect of it is that these sports media companies are wholly embracing gambling, as are the sports leagues. And so that's happening concurrent with all this promotion of the WNBA. And not only do you have men watching the WNBA, as it's gotten more popular, you have them gambling on it and getting angry when things don't go well, which they would
Wow.
not have been. They would not have cared
That's
3 years
interesting.
ago. And so there was this, I'm trying to remember, as Brianna Stewart, there was this incident, the situation where somebody said something horrible or threatening in a WNBA game. I think it was last season. And I saw ESPN report on it, and it was all about, oh my God, we've got all this hate in our society, all this hate. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room, which is that ESPN is making money off this sports gambling, and that fundamentally alters the nature of the fan to player dynamic, where somebody who before did not care at all now feels like you cost them thousands of dollars, and they're vicious. And a lot of the athletes in this sport, or in sports in general, where gambling has grown more prevalent, have relayed that there is a viciousness now in how the fans relate to them and regard them. And we have brought this into this league that was formerly very niche and all women, and now have people just ruthlessly angry at them in a way nobody can acknowledge or talk about. And they have to make it about all this social justice stuff.
Hey, listeners in Listener Land, and for those of you on YouTube, maybe watching it, thanks for being here. This is the end of the free portion of this episode. If you would like the entire episode, got to head over to Substack. That's smoke'empodcast.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber. Many ways to do that. You get the full episodes and you get some other niceties and et cetera and et cetera. And if you are over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Thanks.